Good afternoon, friends, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. Today, we are going to have a different format, and we tried to do this session early because we wanted to accommodate another meeting that we have with the government today, later on in the day. The most important thing today to understand is we have over 1,000 participants who have joined us on the webinar. So there's going to be no videos of me or our speakers in order to conserve bandwidth. And the fact is we are live on Facebook, we are live on the webinar also. And for us, the very important thing is that all of us want to understand the message that we are trying to reach to everybody else. So that is the most important thing rather than just seeing our faces. We'll take questions from webinar participants.
Conference is being recorded.
Also at the end. And all the people who have joined in the webinar, they are also welcome to send in their questions, which we'll take up towards the end. We all know that the businesses, especially small and medium enterprises, are facing the brunt of the COVID-19 outbreak. And a majority of our workforce is working from home, supply chain and manufacturing is impacted. A new normal is set to emerge. In addition, business owners are facing multiple challenges of maintaining business revenues, establishing touch points for their customers, and as well as employees, manage security risks, and so on and so forth. You all know that India SME Forum with the government e-marketplace worked on the opportunity to list a lot of your products, a lot of SME products, so that various central and state governments can order directly from small and medium enterprises, especially with the 20% reservation that we have with the government. So all central and state governments which have gone forward with this, as well as public sector undertakings, have a reservation of 20% buying from MSMEs. To ensure business continuity, we've been doing a lot of webinars over the last 5 weeks, and we've been talking about a lot of things, including how do you provide support to your workforce, how do you provide connectivity, and how do you use that connectivity to get your employees involved in the work that you want to do right from their homes. And we all understand that, in the last few days when we've been talking about all of this, a lot of people have complained about poor, low bandwidth, leading to major disruptions, and so on and so forth. Today, we'll try and guide you through various solutions that can be implemented by small and medium enterprises like yours to tide over the current crisis and bounce back strongly post the lockdown. So, to summarize, what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about how to empower your employees to work from anywhere. How do you keep your operations running, which could be sales, it could be accounts, could be other operations. How do you establish digital points? How do you enable field staff to continue to work for your business, even though they might be working not from home, just from home, for essential services personnel who will be working from all over the place. Not hotspots maybe, but even hotspots, some of the essential services are working. And how can the specialists that we have today talk to us about how do we work on a plan to bounce back into business? I'd like to first introduce our panelists today. Harmeen Mehta is the CIO and head of cloud and security business at the Bharti Airtel Limited. And she's responsible for all engineering across India, South Asia, and 14 countries in Africa. She also leads the cybersecurity cloud and applications business for Bharti Airtel. And she's varied experience, including in companies like Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, HSBC, and so on and so forth. And she's also a very well rewarded, awarded, I would say, executive. Divya, some of us know in India SME Forum. He's been participant in some of the platforms that we've had. He has 22 plus years in the telecom industry, worked with data, mobility, fixed line, security, M2M products. And he's been a great supporter of small and medium entrepreneurs. So let me first bring in Harmeen to talk to us about connectivity and how do you enable businesses and how do we prepare for a rebound. And then I'll bring in Divya towards the end of the session. Harmeen, welcome. Please start.
Thank you very much, Vinod, and a very good afternoon to all of you. These are truly unprecedented times, and I think all of the companies, small, medium, or large, are trying to do their best to cope with this environment. As I'm sure, so are all of you. I think from our side, just wanted to reach out and share some experiences. One of Airtel itself, how we coped with this entire setup, and to also talk about um, some of the difficulties that we are seeing with companies like yourself and how we are partnering up with them anywhere and which way we can to help them out in this environment. And between me and Divya, we'll actually talk about both these pieces, and Divya will also give you some deep insights into different products and propositions that we've created to help out specifically for the emerging enterprises to allow for you guys to sustain yourselves in such a tough environment. I really hope all of you and your families are really keeping safe. The numbers are growing on a daily basis, though it was heartening to see that the doubling rate is starting to now come down for India. But we are still, they say it's the first 10 weeks and we are only 4 weeks into it. So we've still got to watch out for the next couple of months. And our best wishes are with all of you and your families and friends as well. So I'm going to kick off with our own learnings at Airtel and how we did the entire business continuity piece, and then move on from there. As you can imagine, with the entire country going into a sudden lockdown almost immediately, one of the biggest challenges that everybody had was the only mode of communication for them left was telecoms. So telecoms is an essential service in the country. And, we feel very, very privileged to actually work for a company that in these dire times is able to serve all of you and serve the country as well. So the way our entire business continuity program is structured is it's structured in three different parts. The first part is everything we needed to do to keep the country going. So this is not an inward looking BCP plan. It was absolutely not as much about Airtel at all. It was all about India and what Airtel needed to do to keep India going, being an essential service. The second came what we needed to do to keep Airtel going. And then third was what we needed to do to keep Airtel sustaining, which is all the new things and or changes that we wanted to do as well. The first few days of the lockdown, the entire focus was on what we needed to do to keep the country going. And in order to do that, one of the biggest pieces is every company, and Airtel was no different, has a BCP plan that takes into account that something wrong has happened either to a certain set of applications or a particular
Conference is being
center,
recorded.
or to a particular data center, or to a particular segment of applications, or in a particular city, whether it's a natural disaster or a calamity or something. But never in our wildest dreams had we ever imagined that we would be living in a world where the entire country would come under a lockdown. And hence, all of the BCP plans that we had written over the last several years were out of the window, and a new BCP plan had to be emerged. As part of that new BCP, as I said, that the first thing was needed to keep the country going. There, the crucial element was how do we keep such a vast network that covers 98% of India's land mass? How do we keep it going? We have over 300 million customers, almost 500,000 enterprises that we work with. How do we keep them going as well? Our traffic literally over 3 days shot up massively. And what is normal growth that you see over a course of a year or months, because growth normally comes gradually, it doesn't come in one day, is what we actually saw in the first couple of weeks itself. Our traffic grew immensely, more than 25%, as a contrast between where we ended February end and March end. But the most of the growth actually happened only over 7 to 8 days. And then the second thing was, with the country being in lockdown, a lot of our field activities were greatly restricted as well. And hence, our ability to be able to go and service many of our enterprise customers in their locations was also impacted. How did we handle that? The first thing we did was we augmented the network capacity to the absolute maximum that we do. Every single equipment, server, everything we had out there is what we deployed in the field as quickly as possible to really allow for an increase in traffic. We also, in fact, our CEO Gopal took a very proactive response with the entire media industry, because at the same time, with people logged in from home, the usage of a lot of videos on mobile, etc., also went through an increase. But we created a partnership with all the large media houses, from Star to Z to Netflix, Amazon, YouTube, so Google, ByteDance, everybody, and we brought everybody together with the Department of Telecommunications, and everybody agreed that on the mobile, they would reduce from HD to SD to allow for a critical part of the bandwidth available in the country to actually go for what was needed for working from home, rather than just entertainment on the small device. Now, if you were watching anything on the television or through a broadband, the quality would not be impacted at all. And anyways, the difference between SD and HD on a small 5-inch screen on the handset is only a subtle difference. But that's what each of these guys agreed to do. And we're very grateful for all their cooperation as well. That gave us even more network capacity as well. The second thing was a great blessings that of our own ways of working. We're a highly digital company. Our entire field force, which is not only our employees, but also employees from our partners, whether it's network companies like Nokia, Ericsson, Huawei, that work with us for deploying different sites and maintaining different sites all around the country, and hundreds of thousands of these sites, or the tower companies that we work with, or our field engineers that actually go and fix different things, go and do installs for broadband in the houses, or go and deliver SIMs and other services at home or in offices. The entire field force at Airtel, including our retailers, which is over 1 million retailers that we have out there, everybody is fully digitized. We have one of the most digital workforce in the country. And even a lot of these people, they're no different than any of the other field force than any other company has. That's the level of education literacy is exactly what you would expect. But over the last several years, we managed to digitize all of them. And that worked really well with us, because we knew exactly who was out there, who is working, who has gone to a different hometown, and how many hours they will be able to work, who has got a curfew pass and hence is able to go into the field and provide the service, and who is going to do, let's say there are 3 people in a team, 2 of them are out today, and a different 2 are out tomorrow, and a different 2 are out the third day. We know exactly who will be out on what day. And a lot of the task allocation and everything we need to do could be dynamically done to all this workforce as they were in the field, and allowed us to maintain all of that without any hassle at all, because the whole workforce was digitized. A third thing we did, which was a very bold step taken literally within 24
Conference is
hours of
being
the
recorded.
lockdown, and that was all of our corporate customers that we have across Airtel. For every single corporate that is a customer of Airtel's, we took them and we took their experience on the network and their data experience in particularly, and we gave it the highest quality of service. What that means is, let's say, what happened during this entire lockdown is a lot of the sites that are there in IT parks or in commercial areas, they have a different level of capacity. They are capacitized to handle thousands of users attaching on to those sites at any particular point of time and having a great network experience. The home sites are capacitized very differently. Those are the sites which see more traffic during the evening, but not as large as what you would see in commercial areas, and very little traffic during the day. That entire pattern, as the country got locked in, completely changed, and a lot of work from home happening from the homes resulted in big usage and capacity needed in these home sites as well. So while we also augmented this, what we also did was all of our corporate customers that could be working from home, we increased the quality of service, which meant, let's say there are 100 people latching onto a site and that is capacitized for, let's say, 95. Now, with more than 95 people, if they latch on, it causes some level of congestion on that site. As the congestion happens, what it will do is it will take all the corporate customers of Airtel and it gives them a higher quality of service, which means that the first right on the network is for them, then comes everybody else. So you are, if you're a corporate mobility customer of Airtel, we guarantee you that you would be getting a higher quality of service today. And this was done as an executive decision across the board in order to just serve our customers better. We also enabled our voice over Wi-Fi capabilities to work not only on the Airtel broadband, but also across any other broadband that you might be using in your houses. So even if you're on a competition broadband, we developed the capability that we could carry the voice, which normally becomes a problem indoors because of the thick walls of houses and condos, etc., which cause the network radio waves, they deteriorate as they penetrate through so many walls. In order to ensure a seamless coverage for voice also inside the houses, we now have a very advanced technology that allows us to fall over from the radio network onto the local Wi-Fi for just the last 1 or 2 meters in your house and reverse, and give you a seamless experience on voice as well. So if your handset has voice over Wi-Fi, I really hope you've got that enabled. I personally am a big voice over Wi-Fi user, and I can tell you the difference in quality is day and night, and it's a real lifesaver. The second thing I want to talk about is overall operational resiliency. Running one of the largest NOCs in the country in such a distributed manner is very, very complex. Plus, the NOC is that we use to manage our network is the heart and soul of the company, because our network is what protects the country as well, while runs the country also. So doing that virtualization and a lot of investments we've made over the last few months of moving to the cloud, and we run our own, one of the largest private clouds in the country, it really benefited us and allowed us to be able to do this with a lot of ease. This, we enabled more than 50,000 people to actually work from home using VDI and VPN, including the entire NOC. We also distributed the NOC so that if there were tighter curfews in certain cities, we took our NOC, which was normally centralized between 2 cities, and we distributed it almost around 6-7 states in order to create a second degree of BCP. And then the third thing we did was we also virtualized all our contact centers. We run them on the cloud. We use VPN and VDI and very closed device management solutions, which is MDM, so that any kind of a data does not leave, even on the phones, it's still in a secure vault, which Airtel can control. But all of our agents are able to service from home where we found fit. We also increased the number of resolutions we could do on our IVR, and we run a very intelligent IVR that is able to auto-detect why the customer is calling and then take them over to resolve it. And we've, over the course of this last 1 month, we've gone from almost 65 to 70% resolution on IVR to now over 90 to 95% of resolution on the IVR itself. If you could please move forward. So the next piece, I talked about the call centers, but as the call centers also, because a lot of the agents, they went home to their native towns and hence were not fully available or did not have broadband connectivities as home, etc. We're working at, we have seen the entire country move towards digital. Our digital assets, which run on the Airtel cloud, have seen growth and spurts where volumes have more or less doubled in less than 3 weeks. And we've been able to seamlessly control and manage all of that because the cloud itself gives you all that elasticity. We also use a lot of AI, ML, artificial intelligence and machine learning, which helps us service our customers better. And we took the first 5 days itself to enhance these capabilities dramatically, where the engineering teams literally worked round the clock, so as to allow us to service even 25% more customers. Because during these difficult times, we wanted to make sure that we are able to cover as many of any issues that our customers might have as possible. And then came the fourth area, which was supporting all the various business functions, including finance, which for a large firm like us, doing a year-end closing, so month-end, quarter-end, and year-end, which is what happens in March, is one of the most important processes, to various other compliance and regulatory functions. We also do a lot of work with the government, and all of that piece, how it could continue to function across the board, and each and every business group is supported as well. I already mentioned that we connected 51,000 people, 50,000 people on VPN, and almost 3,000 people using virtual desktops, which use very highly confidential data in less than 48 hours. We also increased the throughput on our disaster recovery sites by almost 6 times in order to ensure that should there be any issue, we are not scrambling and our customers don't get impacted during that point in time. We have a very agile way of working. We run ourselves more like a startup. So all our collaborations, including the the team huddles and the daily Scrum meetings that happen in the daily stand-ups, retros, as well as the sprint planning meetings, everything happens on using our collaboration suites that we use. We've run our CEO Gopal has been running webinars every 10 days using Zoom and connecting to almost 20,000 customers. We've also invested a lot in remote connectivity solutions like broadband, MiFi, 4G, which we've all enhanced during this period to allow for every function to continue to service internally, both Airtel as well as our customers. What were some of our biggest learnings? This is more of my personal experience as the CIO. One of my biggest learning was that the faster we reacted, the better we were able to serve both the country and our customers. Everything that we did in the first 48 hours, if it had taken us longer, it would have become more and more difficult. So speed was definitely off the element here. The fact that 50,000 people could be connected within 2 days, the fact that we were able to move our call centers in whatever skeletal form, but to be able to take the problems of the customers and resolve them during this difficult time seamlessly, up our IVR to almost 95% online resolution, do massive releases on our digital platforms to really allow all these features to be there as well, so customers could self-solve their problems, etc., is what really worked in our favor. In fact, Gopal was in a global conference with many of the CEOs of other telecoms all around the world, and he came back and gave a message saying, I was really surprised that almost 19 days into lockdown in various countries, that many telcos were still struggling with this, what we were able to achieve in 24 hours or 48 hours. And we're very grateful to the teams for having stretched through that. Just so you guys know, while the entire country was going into lockdown, a large part of our very brave heroes as well, but many of them were actually rushing towards the data centers all across the country, where they were quarantined inside the data centers while all of us were sitting comfortably in our homes. And we're very grateful to all of these guys as well, because they've been living, breathing inside these data centers to allow for all of us to comfortably sit in our homes and work. The second biggest piece was collaboration. There is nothing like over communication at this point in time, whether it is with your customers or it is with your employees or it is with your partners. You need to communicate. Keep in touch with all of them, understand their problems and see how you can solve them. Be able to convey your problems and see how they might be able to help you in different factors, and also to reach out to your employees to keep them motivated and going as well. This is an emotionally difficult time for everybody, both personally and professionally as well. The third biggest learning was all our investments in artificial intelligence and machine learning really came to a big rescue. given our scale, and we run one of the largest big data platforms in the country and actually in the world as well. We process over 100 billion of records in a day. And that for us was not possible without AI. So AI has been more of a necessity for us rather than something just nice to have or a cool technology to use. We run the country's only completely AI-led NOC, which means it's fully humanless. We used to have more than 100 people running our engineering and systems operation center about 2 years back. That is now completely become AI-led. And in fact, there are no humans in that NOC anymore. And that has really helped us continue to service all of our customers, because many of the issues are auto-resolved and auto-handled by this AI technology. The fifth piece that I wanted to touch on is security. And, we've always taken security and very seriously in Airtel, and it's a space that we invest a lot in. But during this time, while all of us are struggling through many other things, all companies are opening up the infrastructure to allow for their employees to work from home. This is creating massive security risks as well. And there are a lot of malicious elements out there that are trying to take advantage of this. We have seen an unprecedented increase in attempts for cyber attack against many, many corporates, most of the large corporates. We run a world-class SOC, which provides security operations for many of the large enterprises and financial institutions across the country. And while we've been protecting ourselves and protecting all of these as well, I can confirm, and the same phenomenon is what you're hearing from Europe and US as well, that the cyber attacks are at an unprecedented high. The day we went in the lockdown, the day after that, we actually brought the threat levels in our security operations centers to the highest level because of that. Hence, one of the other things that we did is, because of our Airtel Secure solutions that allow us to even open up a lot of this infrastructure, but with great walls of security around it, has really benefited us in being able to run the country without having the fear of outside penetration. But this is very important as all of you go down this route as well. And in fact, even in our SOC, we've invested heavily in AI, which is my last point, that where almost 70% of our incidents are actually automatically resolved by our AI-led technology. And that has been a lifesaver for me and the team as we continue to focus on keeping the country going as well as keeping the company going. I'm actually going to hand over to Divya now, who will talk a little bit about the specific propositions of what we have been doing with various corporates and enterprises like yours, and helping them during this period as well, and how we can enable some of your businesses as well. So Divya, over to you, please.
Thank you, Hermine. Thanks for presenting all of us a use case, a live use case, and giving us some heads up to really see what can really go into the SMEs as well. So I'm sure many of you would be wondering, how to really bounce back from this environment, given that home is now a new office. And your employees are also how much are they productive? Are they restricted because of mobility or because of the tools which they might be having or not having so as to get going? At the same time, you must be wondering, what all those operations which can I really virtualize or get into a flow where, my business gets going. And all of that could be done in a manner which is easy for me to do so that I become a growing concern. So that way, I think the thoughts which might be up in your mind is, how much digital can I go? How can really I adopt a few of the latest tools which are available around, which will make my business more successful in these times? So let us go one by one and understand that when you want to really set up your home as an office, then there are a few things we can really help you with from our work from home solution portfolio. It starts with the mobility, and that is a SIM which will enable you to connect for voice or for data. We have enabled quality of service features for all corporate connections, COCP connections all across our base, so that you get a better experience on your voice calls and data requirements. So which means that we are prioritizing the traffic flow for you all to see that your business and your operations are done at a higher level of efficiency. At the same time, you would have heard about this voice over Wi-Fi feature. This allows any Airtel user on the latest phones to really pick up a call through the home broadband Wi-Fi access, so that, you know, if there were really any small issues around indoor coverage and all, your voice call quality is great. So these two enablements have been offered to all our COCP customers and our COIP customers as well on the mobility side. We have also come up with the data top-up option, which could be done upon your guidance for all your subscribers, so that if they were really short on using the data quota they have out of their normal plans, then they could be really given from your side to your employees, if at all it was a COCP connection, or you could really still enable it for your COIP employees, which could be reimbursed again back. So these are a few things which we have done on our plain SIM connectivity, so that the business continuity and other things are taken care. Anyways, the corporate MiFi devices are available, which are helping you all with multiple access, user access. At the same time, the plans have been simplified. We have also launched recently a corporate broadband connections for home users, which can be deployed very quickly, which have a standard SOP for quality assurance on how we are going to deliver, what is the time frame and all that. It comes up with the fixed line feature, and of course it can be made secure. Here again, we have come up with this data top-up options, where you could really give additional data to your end consumers for business continuity if their quota was getting consumed at any point in time. Both these options can be made more secure and targeted with the launch of APN, which is Airtel Private Network, or VPN. VPN is more towards broadband and APN is more towards mobility. So with these features, you can restrict the access, especially from APN side, of the mobile connections you would have given to your employees for accessing the corporate applications, which is intranet, by way of doing IP whitelisting. So this helps you really setting up your home now as a new office as a baseline. Now, given that you have your home setup as an office, you would like to really address how and enable your employees big time. So we thought that this is some of the solutions which again from a work from home portfolio come alive. We have tied up with Google, and this Google Suite portfolio is available as a standalone option, as well as it is bundled with our COCP mobility plans starting $399, and it comes with host of all those features where you could really have a formal email, or it may be a hangout or a meet option available with you, with along with some storage and a host of other features there. So in addition, we have seen that, and many of the small and medium enterprises, we have seen that they have been asking for this G Suite option, and it actually makes a lot of difference for them to make their employees productive at home. So we have seen a lot of interest from many of the small enterprises who are looking forward to have a formal identity also by really going for the domain names which we can really offer them. So that was one aspect. The other aspect is Airtel collaboration suites have been a hit. It has 3 flavors, which comes with audio conferencing, video conferencing, and webinars. This is in association with Cisco WebEx, Google Meet, and Zoom. And we see a lot of use cases here. Many of our own employees are using Zoom to get connected with the customers. We have seen a lot of educational institutions coming in and asking for Zoom or WebEx to really go live for their sessions. Features like, you know, I can see how many participants are there on the call. There is a feature of question and answer. I have replied to a few questions already. We can share our screens. We can really record. This is a moderated call anyways. And there is a whiteboard feature which can really help many educational institutions to go live and get connected with their students and conduct the meetings without any nuances. So it's not an open item where anybody can really put anything on mute. This all is moderated during the classroom session, and then following which you can really open up the question answer sessions. And if you have people to really answer those queries in between, like I did for a few of you, it can be done the same way as well. So in addition, we saw use cases from many of the hospitals who are wanting to really do e-consultancy for their patients. I know many of our customers who have approached us to see that how can this feature of video collaboration be integrated into their app or on a standalone basis, where they can make or attend their patients and advise them while their doctors are somewhere. So there are three elements and three actors around this. There is a doctor, there is a hospital or a chain, and then there are patients. For all three of them can come together and then address the requirements of their patients and do e-consultancy. That's a big hit. We have seen this use case coming alive for many other interactions of ours with our customers. End of the day, the most important feature here is that, now you must be wondering about if there are employees who are, whether in their home they are safe, or if there are certain employees who have to really go out and fulfill certain requirements, which are whether in the M&D or it is in the logistics. So we have called out a feature called as TraceMate. It helps you really be assured of whether your employee is moving safely, in which territory, at which location is he. If he's getting stuck there for any reason, you can really reach out to him and extend him that help or support, which will make him going. So this again, as a feature, we have bundled in our postpaid plans, and it is otherwise also available on a standalone basis. It comes with a lot of user-friendly dashboards and analytics. So we have seen the first two elements, which is like home is a new office. The second one is, I have enabled my employees. Now, how can really I get the digital angle into my life? So we feel there are a few things which we can do specifically for you all, which is like starting with Airtel Digimate. This is a product where you can be in touch with your customers, suppliers through SMS or outbound calling or emails. You can keep them posted about your working hours or change in the working hours. You can really send them the messages around new products or features or things which you might be wanting to do in your life, so that there is an engagement, and it's a very economic, easier way of engaging with your customers and telling them about your environment changes or the things you're wanting to change depending upon different guidelines which are coming from here and there. The second one is around Payments Bank. Airtel Payments Bank offers a lot of special features, and this is in line with what MSME Ministry is also advising us. We have launched solutions which are around salary solutions, and it has a special feature that, if you are reimbursing your or disbursing your salary through this Airtel Payment Bank, then Hospi Cash is a feature which allows your employees to get an insurance cover for up to 10 days of hospitalization as a minimum salary coming in, which means that, for example, if your employee has fallen sick and he has been in hospital, then he will get a minimum salary of X 100 rupees for 10 days if the salary is getting disbursed from there. So this is not health insurance. This is a salary insurance. The second beautiful feature is about digital payment collections from your vendors or your down chain, so that, with the QR code being there, the payments can already be made into the accounts you want to have. This is again a unique feature we have here. And we have also really launched health insurance as a offering from Airtel Payment Bank in association with Bharti AXA. And then we also have launched a standalone Corona insurance for all your employees here at a very nominal cost. And this starts with the next day itself. You don't have to wait for 14 days of sleeping period or so. So this is something which will not only help you go digitally active with your wallets and payment accounts for payments or cash management system from your customers and otherwise, but the other 3-4 things help you really, stay ahead of curve. Then again, we have very strong offerings from Airtel Cloud. This is the time when you must be thinking that which all applications you can really put on to cloud, so that the physicality of your access to your servers or applications in your offices or elsewhere be taken care of. Therefore, we really offer a very standard cloud services, which is led by Harmeen herself. And this is coming from our own IT shop, which means that we are following the same standards and processes and guidelines which are for Airtel. A part of that have been carved out to really offer you the services with that stability. And given that we are an essential services from telecom business being that, therefore accessibility, reachability, and availability, all of that is guaranteed. You can really be assured that, from that perspective, we will be able to service your cloud needs very smartly, which has cloud, which has got compute, store, colo, and security as standard features. We have also doubled up our connectivity solutions with Leaseline coming up with a dual last mile, so that, you don't have to worry about an alternate service provider, and we can bring in a lot of cost saving there for you, along with the new features which are like SD-WAN. And we also have launched a special version of internet access in your offices as Office Internet Connect. And the last, but the most important piece is Airtel IoT solutions, where you might be worried about as an M&D organization that whether the deliveries which I have sent off to my customer, whether they have reached the location or not, whether my vehicle is safe, whether it has got stuck or something has happened there or not. So we can really offer all your incoming supplies as well as outgoing supplies to be tracked online. We can really enable your vehicles with the vehicle tracking solutions, which are API integrated, meaning that you can really infuse these applications into your business applications also. And then we have host of M2M SIMs which can be offered to you on your convenience. So in all, we are saying that whether you are an educational institution or you are an M&D organization or you are in the logistics or you are a software organization or you are in IT or ITS vertical, you can really pick and choose a few of these elements and make your business more digital in a more robust environment. So while you must be thinking all of this might be difficult to do, but we have, this is what Harmeen was indicating a while ago, we have really strengthened our digital access to our customers big time. We have launched Airtel Enterprise Hub as a platform which helps you make payments and raise SRs, which also helps you look at your bills and download them. It also helps you to buy G Suite from that particular platform itself. And you can also express your interest to get new products. This has been enabled for our mobility customers and is being enabled for our data customers. So, or if you are an Airtel customer or a corporate customer, you will have this platform handy, and from this you will be able to really take away the physicality. So this is specifically for mobility and data. And when it gets to IoT, we have a platform called as Airtel Connectivity Management Platform. It helps you do all that what you want to do with your SIMs and your devices. For example, if somebody is having a sugar mill or a set of sugar mills and he has got a lot of machines and he wants to really control those machines through digitally, then we can really place those SIMs into this. Somebody who's really into a outbound calling or a promotion transaction, then we can really take care all that application through an M2M SIM. You can manage those SIMs, like in this time, if the utilization is low or you want to really put them into post the lockdown into a higher plan, you can do all that inventory management yourself, and you can see that what are the billing, and you can really pay for those bills and raise SRs. So this is the second important element from the IoT perspective. And in order to really give you the ease of new service activation for data and shortly for mobility, we have enabled digital KYC, which means that the older hassles of giving the forms physically, taking printouts, scanning them up, and then wondering what to do, we can really enable all of that process simplified with our digital engagement. So in all, what we are saying that all these product and services we are trying to make you available digitally to add convenience to you so that you can do your business better and worry less about all these aspects. So this is not all. I think we thought that at this point in time, because of this association, we should be offering something which can really get you started with a few of these product and features. So we said that for all our Airtel Priority 4G SIMs, we shall be people who are on the call, or if you have some new connections, we will be let us know for your select employees, for which we have to really give a free top up of 15 GB for a month. And if you want to really try out some customer engagements through our Airtel Digimate, we can explore possibilities of extending you about 50,000 SMSs or 10,000 voice OBD calls. Of course, they have to be in the, as per the advice of the TRAI guidelines, and you have to be compliant to that. And if you are having a corporate broadband connection, or you want to have new connections for your own employees, we shall be happy to offer you 50 GB top up for those broadband connections. And we can also enable a free trial of WebEx meetings or webinars up to 5 IDs or so, which can take you up to 1,000 participants in a meeting the way we are conducting, so that you can really try this out and pick up some engagement possibilities with your customers that way. So these are some of the complementary options or services which we want to really extend to you, so that we can really enable you to try them out and then make your experience more richer while you are into this journey. So that is pretty much I thought I would like to cover in a short time. And we have a lot of questions coming up. Over to you, Vinod, for helping us with that aspect.
Yes. First of all, a heartfelt thanks to Harmeen and to Divya and to the entire Airtel team. You know, I'm working on an Airtel connection, and it is the only succor that I have in all this pain, because I have been using it to the hilt. So thank you guys for very much for being out there for us and for helping all of us in this hour of need. You know, I am inundated with questions. There are over 400 questions that I have actually listed. I'm sure we will not be able to take all of them, but I'd like to start with Harmeen. One of the questions that has come here itself is, it has 2 or 3 variants, but I'd like to put it together as one question, which is, how is Airtel Zoom different from the free version? Is it secure and safe? You know, when you look at what the Home Ministry has put out and all of that, what do you think? Is it safe to use today? I mean, as the CIO of Airtel, you yourself must be using it. So what are your comments on this?
So we work very closely. In fact, we've been working very closely with Zoom since some of the security concerns did come out. And in fact, early next week we have a call with the CEO Eric as well, to just take a checkpoint on these. What I can tell you is 2-3 things. See, Zoom is a collaboration platform. It allows you, brings people together in a video conferencing mode, etc. It has a lot of features built into it, but the entire idea of collaboration is, I send you a link. If you forward it to somebody else and somebody else forwards it to somebody else, then there is and somebody else just joins that link. Unless you have made your meeting secure, part of that is possible, because that is kind of a feature of the program as well. Some of these concerns we have to understand are were real. There were some lapses in security, but I must say I've been very impressed with the entire Zoom leadership, with how well they owned it in the earlier few days, and the speed with which they clamped those down. Last weekend and the week before, there were 2 very major updates that Zoom, sorry, can you still hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, sorry. So there were 2 major updates that Zoom released, which plugged most of these concerns. This is a webinar, so it's meant for a broadcast. But if we were in a Zoom meeting, for example, all my Zoom meetings, and the best practices is something that is just sensible and everybody has to follow. So in Airtel, all our meetings are secure because we set passwords for them, and you just have to enter the code as you enter a meeting, and it takes less than 1 second to enter that code. But it's a best practice that we use, and that's what keeps every meeting secure. And the second thing is, they've now released a security feature that if this were a normal meeting and not a webinar, which is a broadcast, somewhere at the bottom where the black bar is where you would have seen a security button that the host and the moderator can actually use to even lock down the meeting once the core people are in. My very honest assessment, and we actually looked at the security concerns very, very deeply. Our cybersecurity team worked closely with them, but also objectively as a user, we looked at it very, very carefully. And while there were some concerns, there were more around best practices and things like that, rather than any major flaw. But as you know, these are highly competitive markets, and this is also a time for the 2-3 big mega solutions that are out there. Each is wanting to make a footprint of their own. So that is probably caused in some of these lapses to get far more press than probably they would have normally got. In fact, there were a couple of the security pieces were more like features rather than concerns. But yes, there were some concerns as well, but the team has plugged almost all of them, if not all. And the CEO has also promised, he almost said next 90 days, the company will focus on nothing but only security. And they've actually delivered on that. And in less than 20 days, they did these massive releases. So we're actually very impressed with how well they moved and how well they owned what was wrong as well, and how quickly they fixed it. I've done an independent assessment for my company. I'm very, very comfortable, but we are very clear that these are best practices, what the team uses, and everybody uses those. Hence, I think it's a very secure platform.
Okay, I'd head over to Divya. The other question that I have, which I'd like to ask,
Conference is being recorded.
is that, we're talking about leveraging Zoom and all the other offerings, including the plan that you just put forward. How does an educational institute, for example, which is the need of the hour, all of our kids are at homes and they are trying to, institutions are trying to reach out to them and help them self-study and so on and so forth. How do your offerings help in this situation?
Thanks, Vinod. I'll take an attempt on it. A few things you see in the educational ecosystem, there are three actors, as I tried to explain in health. So in education, you will have a teacher who will be probably operating from home, and there is an institution, which is the institution, and there are the students who have to really get engaged. So what we are offering is that to begin with, for the teacher, we can really enable his home well with a good quality corporate connection or a home broadband connection. We can make it secure and safe as well. And from an institution perspective, we can really offer him or her an access on a video collaboration tool, which could be either Zoom, or it could be a Google Hangout, or a Meet, which will have features like which can make attendance, question and answer sessions interesting, and it can really lock the meeting like a classroom is locked. It can enable interactivity through these question answer sessions in different forms by raising hands and all that. They can also take a look on the count of the participants who are therein, and they can also record these sessions, because I see my kids also doing the same thing. When the presentation is being made, they will try to really pick up a phone and then try to really take a picture of that screen or do a screenshot so that they can really remember it later. But features like recording also can be enabled for the students also to really get that material available to them for a review or a revision later. Host of these things are possible, and I think we can really make a special. In fact, we have started out reaching out to all the institutions within our territories and geographies to really talk about this proposition strongly. And as we foresee that this lockdown situation may be on and off, and therefore given the social security or distancing norms which are coming into play, classes might be here and there, or some classes might be there and timings might be different. So we foresee a hybrid operation during that time. When the schools or educational institutions open up, we can really enable them with a very strong internet lease line connect and secure it and make that Wi-Fi environment also done. So, and if at all they want to really host their content on our cloud platforms, then we can also make it available to them, so that later on, if it is available to all the people across the board, especially for students or for the faculty. So these are the possibilities which can really come in, and we can really make a tailored made program or a customized offering also to large institutions, so as to make it going. End of the day, if at all one feels that that is a really long shot, that and the students at home also should get some great experience if they are on mobile, and if they are on Airtel connection on some form with voice over Wi-Fi feature, they should be able to really access a good quality indoor coverage also from any broadband connection they may have, so that the quality of the education or training becomes really great that way. So it touches all the three elements, and it can be really built around and educated that way.
Divya, if I may add, there is another feature which you will hear about literally coming in the next few days, where we are launching a content filtering and security layer on top of home broadband as well, which will allow parents to also control the access of broadband into the houses as they want. And the control of that it's the same for corporates as well. So different corporates in their offices, or if they are supplying these connections into the homes, they can also control any kind of content filtering, etc., as they want. So it has got a full secured broadband connection with the security layer on top. We used to do a lot for this for the corporates, etc., which we are now bringing into the home as well, given the current environment.
Thanks,
Sorry,
Ranveer.
just wanted to add that.
Thanks for adding.
Would like to ask you, we talked about a lot of services that you're offering under cloud. Now, how flexible are all of these cloud services when it comes to adding capacity or reducing capacity at any point in time?
Highly flexible. So there's full elasticity, and then depends on how you want to use those services. If you want us to enable your applications with full elasticity, so you just pay as you go and you don't have to if you think that you're only going to have for the next 3 months you need double the capacity, but then your online traffic will come down and you don't want to pay for it, then it's fully flexible and all that control is in your hands. At the same time, your own administrator in your shops or one of our administrators, again, as you want, has the capability of doing that extra provisioning or deprovisioning or whatever, literally on the fly, in a matter of minutes, if not lesser. For us to add capacity, we've got immense capacity, and it's something that we keep expanding throughout. And even in this current environment, we are able to keep this going. So that's not a concern at all.
Excellent. Divya, another question for you. When you talk about corporate broadband, which is something that normally small offices or offices use, is it available for home, or is it only available in certain locations? And also in terms of the mobile numbers, during this lockdown that is there, are you still continuing to add connections? And can I also transition my entire company to Airtel in terms of from other providers and all?
Yeah, Vinod, we are still participating. We are helping customers to change the network. MNP is still on. We are actively engaged, and we will be happy to take queries around that. As far as corporate broadband for home is concerned, it is available across all the network POPs we have across India. So there is no differentiation about it being selectively available that way.
Excellent. Now, another question that hit us, and I'd like to ask that to Harmeen. We talked about a VPN. How does a VPN basically help me connect securely to my office network? And on the other hand, we just talked about corporate broadband. Is it secure, and how secure is it, if it is?
Okay, a VPN connection you can run on any broadband, let's say, or even using a hotspot, etc. What it does is, normally when you are just exploring the internet, your device which is connected to the internet, it works in, you are able to, basically what it does, a mobile network like ours will basically form the connection between your device and the internet, and you are able to explore all of it openly and go from one place to another and so on and so forth. When you use the VPN, it creates a small tunnel on that entire data connectivity, which is a secure tunnel, which becomes a private network that actually takes the data from your device, whichever it is, whether it's a mobile phone or a laptop, securely to the, whether it's your data center or if it's running on a public cloud, it doesn't matter, to wherever your application is running, where the VPN ends, and it securely creates that tunnel, so that whatever you do is only going through that secure tunnel, and it's the access that you have at that point, once you get on a private network, is the same access that you would have when you were inside the office and working on your LAN. So it basically takes your internal LAN connection, creates a small tunnel or a private network on that same principles and configuration, and gets it on the public internet pipe, but all the way to your house or wherever you're working from. So it's highly secure. And there are different ways of doing this. Today, if you're just accessing web applications, we can actually provide you VPN, which is clientless. If you have very secure applications in your environment that you need to access in your data centers or even in the public cloud, we can provide client VPNs as well, which just needs a very thin client to be installed on the desktop, and that's about it. And they're very easy to set up. And in this environment, we've helped thousands and thousands of these to be done over the last few weeks.
In fact, that takes me to my next question, which is that, when we're talking, and this goes to Divya, when we talk about the productivity of my field force, which is out there in the market, at site or traveling around the place, how do I ensure their productivity and the efficacy of that workforce? Do you have any offerings specifically for that?
Yeah, Vinod, I think our mobile connection plans, which is like starting from $399 or so, it offers a G Suite bundle free. And it also offers TraceMate, which I spoke about, also as a complimentary service. Other than a host of other features, which are like, Airtel Call Manager, which helps you really manage your time well. And if you are not available for XYZ reason, it actually prompts and updates the caller that way. And it is really dynamic and alive, along with a lot of other features which are like on thanks. So in a way, in a plan of $399, we are offering features worth like 1,500 rupees or so. And it's absolutely a unique proposition which is available from Airtel on COCP connections.
That's exciting. So can I migrate my existing email to G Suite, or how do I do this? Or do I have to purchase individual apps?
You can obviously migrate your existing emails on the G Suite platform, but the independent applications are not available as such from the G Suite platform. However, the Google Meet, which is a collaboration tool being offered these days, can be made available on a standalone basis.
Okay. And how easy would it be to implement this change and replace my current email as well as the current productivity softwares that I might be using?
So we have a set of professional teams. For all our customers, we have set up a help desk, which helps them to do this migration smoothly.
If I may add, if you've got a domain name already, because if you're using an email, then you've got a domain name already, then it's something we can actually all enable. A lot of it we can enable online and in literally no time. If you need, if you're a small company who doesn't have a domain name registered as well, we can do that for you as well. And depending on what domain name you want, etc., sometimes it can, most of it can happen instantaneously. Sometimes it will take us 24 hours, depending on, if there is any kind of regulation around that domain name, etc. But it's 99% it happens instantaneously. So we can also book the domain name for you and then do the email migration. You get access to the full suite of apps that come under G Suite, which is all your productivity suite, all your emails, space on Google Drive as well as Google Sheets, slides, everything. So you're able to be fully productive. It's almost like an office in a box. And at the same point, access to Google Meet, which is a lovely collaboration and video platform that allows you to connect seamlessly to all your employees as well.
In fact, while we are on that, you talked about the virtual desktop solution. Harmeen, what is the pricing model there, and how quickly can we sort of avail of that service? Is that also available, like really very, very quickly?
Yes, a virtual desktop service is also available very, very quickly. It just depends on within the enterprise itself. If you have the beauty of a virtual desktop is we can spin off the virtual machines and get the image of the desktop done by just establishing a connectivity into your either your data center or whatever desktops you want to create an image of. Even if the devices or the desktops that are available in the house with your employees, they actually don't have to be high-end desktops or high-end laptops at all, because all computing, all processing, even if you open a spreadsheet and do a various amounts of processing, that happens on the server side. It doesn't happen on the desktop. So all the capability that's needed of the laptop or desktop is just the ability to have a keyboard and a screen and a very little, tiny little minuscule compute power, which just allows for this one connection into the internet. And then everything else happens on the virtual desktop, which is actually happening on the server side. This is just like a dumb terminal, which allows you to view everything that's happening there. And it can be set up really, really easily and all remotely.
Cool. That was a lot of information cramped in just an hour, under an hour actually. We're just 5 minutes over, but I have one last question to ask both of you. You know, we are all anticipating that what's going to happen on May 3 is the lockdown going to extend, or is it not going to extend, and what's going, you know, just in case it extends, what would both of you recommend to small businesses in terms of the network and connectivity infrastructure? What should we put in place quickly?
I can make a start, and maybe Divya, you can add. See, I would suggest only two pieces of advice, and each of those are, I think it's the same whether it's a large corporate or a small company. But you know, Airtel is a large corporate, but if I look at my security and cloud businesses, I run them like a startup, so I probably have experience of both. See, you know, they say necessity is the mother of all invention, and I think it's never been more true than in this environment. There are millions of people out there who are struggling with making livelihoods meet in our India, and I think we're all fortunate that at least we have roofs over our head and you know, money to keep our families going. But this is also a time to look at different business models and how you can do the same thing differently as well. Innovation is not only about doing different things. Innovation is much more about doing the same thing differently as well. So no matter what your business model was, enabling a different way of doing that is something that every company should think about. Use this advantage to get more digital. Our entire Divya's entire team and you know, part of my business is working with Divya's team. We are dedicated to making things happen quickly for small, medium enterprises so that they continue to operate with a lot of agility. And we actually love working with them because they don't have the same bureaucracy of large enterprises. So we are very happy to see if we can do anything quickly, whether it's enable any of the services for you, get broadband connections to your employees where possible, get you VPN or VDI solutions, get you products like TraceMate, etc., that allow for your field force to be productive. You know, build on the help you secure your company, whether it's through using the services of our SOC, or it is you know, through using just secure connections on top of your broadband or lease line or whatever it is, or it is migration to the cloud. Most of these things can happen remotely as long as we have just access into your environment and can work together with you and your teams. Where there's a will, there's a way. And I think at this point, there is a lot of will to go and, you know, make a lot of our businesses survive and run. But this is also a time where the country is getting highly digital. We have seen our digital penetration more than double in 1 month. And I think many companies are seeing that across the board. So this is also the perfect time to take your business digital and not overthink about it too much. Use this time to go experiment, and worst case, if it doesn't work out, you're no worse off. You will only be better off from where you are today. Like I said, company like ours, we take a lot of pride in the speed with which we execute. So we're dedicated to making things happen for you. Divya, I'll hand over the floor to you.
Thanks, Arvind. Thanks for summing it up across all the elements possible. I just want to add to what she said. If you are looking for speed and spread, we shall resonate. We have presence spread across 150 towns with our partners and our own teams there. We will ensure that you know, we support you enough on your ambitions that way, which may be from different dimensions, starting from connectivity to digitization to trying out different things what Harmeen said as an experiment. So we shall always be there, and we will ensure that our speed matches your yours and your ambitions.
Excellent. Thank you to both of you, to both our guest speakers. For friends that are listening in and watching in, you have contacts of both our guest speakers on the screen today. And we will get back to you tomorrow again, not at the same time though, but at 6 p.m. in the evening with another set of speakers. And I look forward to having a fruitful conversation again after the next week with our partners from Airtel again. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining in. Have a great day and stay safe.
Thanks, Vinod, and goodbye to all.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Stay safe.